Cover a bald head, wear a nose ring. Okay. Okay. Welcome to episode 3 of Q and Trey, where I respond to your questions and comments, for better or worse. Quite a bit going on here on the channel, as I have been releasing far more videos than usual and reaping the rewards in questions and comments. So let's see what you had to say to me this week. Sam Brackman, how do you recommend handling key changes? Gently. The most important thing that you can do when changing keys is to make sure that everything, every instrument, all comes along for the ride, okay? If you're going up, let's say, a half step, everybody, except for the drums, has to come up that half step with you. That might seem really obvious, but sometimes people don't do it. I have been sent some atrocities. So when you change keys within a song, that's called a modulation. And then there's a prepared modulation and an unprepared modulation, one of which you just do it, you just on the one, you just go into the new key. A prepared modulation, we'll call the preparation lubrication. It's a lubricated modulation where you, for example, will put like a 5/7 chord of the new key in the measure beforehand so that it adds that tension. You're sort of changing the key in advance a little bit of the actual downbeat. That's just one example of how you do it. There's tons of ways to do it. I like to do this is my favorite move in the whole world, a flat 2, 5, 1 in a minor key, right? But just on a very fundamental level, what you want to think about is where you start, where you're trying to get to, why you're trying to do that, like what's the purpose of your key change, and then building some kind of a bridge between them if you want it to be prepared. If you want it to be this unlubricated surprise, then just fucking do it. Just take the thing and just go. It will partly depend on whether or not you're trying to do something you've already done in a different key. Like probably the most common thing in like popular music is to have the chorus modulate up like a half step or a whole step. Like in the final double chorus at the end, you have the first one in the original key and then you go up a half step for the last one. If it's at the end and the song is just gonna end after it, like it's your final chorus up a half step, then it doesn't matter, you're done, the song ends. But like if you're gonna modulate your bridge and then go back to like a guitar solo or the final chorus after the bridge, then you have to decide whether or not when you modulate to the bridge, if you're gonna go back and how you're gonna get there. Because modulating back to the original key after you've been in the new key is not going to be the same method that you did to get there. You can't just reverse it. So these are all things that you have to consider, but primarily what you have to do is to just try it a lot. Okay, what would this sound like if I moved it up a key? How am I going to make it feel like it's like going there was a good idea? And that's where a solid understanding of harmony comes in really handy. And now for this week's Duality of Man.
You're a musician and hear separate ways in this? I am embarrassed for you.
Yeah, that Journey Separate Ways chorus was so obvious it kind of made me feel like I was listening to some cheap pop act trying to steal old songs. Why are people saying it's separate ways? It actually nothing like it. Definitely not a copy. It's basically separate ways. I can't not hear it. I'm from the 80s and a musician. In no way did I hear Journey's Separate Ways or a hint of it. Thank you. I have gotten a ton of crap because I thought it sounded like Journey's Separate Ways.
Nope, the only similarity to Separate Ways is that it's in the same key. Ghost Song sounds nothing like Journey.
Everybody is hearing Separate Ways. It's making me a little nervous. I'm so sick of people making the Separate Ways comparison. Apart from the first 2 notes of the chorus, they don't sound alike.
Here's the Ghost song in question.
Your love, bright as the starlight. Oh, child, still we can see.
Key of D minor, 124 BPM. Here's Journey, key of E minor, 129 BPM.
Someday love will find you. Break those chains that bind you.
Put them both in the same key and at the same tempo. Here they are together.
Someday love will find you. Break those chains that bind you. One mind will remind you.
Obviously, they're not identical, but if you can't hear the similarities in there, there's literally nothing more that I can do for you. Here it is with all the instruments together, both of them at the same time.
Someday,
Holier than. You really spoil everything by taking the magic away through mockery. Thank you. Oh my god, do you really think so?
Frank Creepy, how do ye help landlubbers get rid of ye old red light jitters in a recording session when you collab IRL?
First of all, I have not done a ton of IRL collabs, and actually, I do get the red light jitters still. But the number one thing that you can do, I think, to really help with that, aside from just doing it as much as humanly possible, recording as often as possible, but honestly, it's kind of like playing live is the only place where you don't get a second take, right? If you're recording in your bedroom or even in a big recording studio, it's pretty likely that you can go back and do it again. And I honestly have not done enough of that. I actually hate it when other people are tracking me. I like to track myself, so I will go so far as to be like, go get a coffee and I'm gonna record this part and engineer it myself. But if what you're trying to do is to help somebody else that you're recording or working with get rid of those red light jitters, there's basically one of two things that you can do. And different people are going to respond differently to the sort of pressures of recording. So you can either apply more pressure or less. I don't know which is going to work, but you've basically got a 50-50 shot. I tend to like less pressure. So what I will tell people is sometimes I'll go like, hey, do you know how many takes you have left to get this right? And they're like, how many? I'll be like, infinity, literally infinity. Like, we're not gonna run out of space on the hard drive. Or you can be like, you have 2 takes to get this right and then we're moving on. You can do it in a friendly way. You don't have to be a meanie pants. Your mileage will vary. Dorcas of Winter, I would like to know your tips for taking a through composed piece and trimming it back to a real song. This is both harder and easier than it sounds. If you have something that's through composed, that just means that it doesn't have any repetition. And if it doesn't have any repetition, then what you have to do is just do things that you already did again in the song. The short version is that you basically copy paste. Obviously, you're not gonna actually just copy paste, because that's also lame. When people send me songs that are through composed and they can't figure out why they suck, it's usually because what they've created is more or less just a notepad of ideas, and then they're trying to squish them together into a song by adding some kind of transitions. They didn't think about it from the beginning as a song, as a composition. They're not thinking of it from the sort of bird's eye view of a song structure. I think of it like this. Anytime I'm adding another part to a song, I am thinking, when is this going to come back? Where in the song? Why? What's it going to look like when it comes back? So, you don't think of any one part of the song as just making a single appearance, except in most typical cases, the bridge. One big reason that through composition sucks so bad is that you're treating it like the kitchen sink scenario where you just throw everything into it and you're unwilling to compromise in terms of the actual structure, the journey of the song. And then what happens is that your song isn't about something, it's about everything and therefore nothing. The Yngwie rule does not apply here. More is not more. So you need to take a close, honest look at what it is that you actually have. I would be willing to bet that it's probably more like an idea notepad stitched together with some whatever transitions, and you need to decide which of those ideas the song is actually about, and then you need to structure it around that. Think about when these parts are going to come back and why. Take any of the sections, any of the parts of your song and ask yourself, are these actually supposed to be together in the same song? Does it make sense for them to be anywhere in the same song together? Jeremy Thornton 433, I finally come to the end of my gas. For close to a year now, every time I go to my local music store, I never see anything that I need. Sure, I see lots of stuff that I like, but do I need it? Nope. I've already got 15 guitars, 2 basses, 8 keyboards, lots of microphones, a digital mixer, cables for days, a good computer, a great DAW, and I write and record all the time. I'm happy. Bro, that sounds fucking wonderful. Woo! Oh, you're living the dream, dude. I actually have a video that I'm working on right now about getting rid of a lot of the gear that I have and just going through and shooting it to show how much gear I actually have and kind of cataloging everything. It makes me sad. I'm like, I have all of this stuff and I'm not using it nearly as much as I should be. or that I could be. Suffice it to say, I am extremely happy for you. This is inspiring to hear, and I endeavor to be more like you. You cut me deep, Jeremy. You got me real good, right in the feelings, right in the nuggets. And because of that, today, you are going to be the one who wins my course, Complete Rock and Metal Songwriting. Thank you so much for your comment. It simultaneously made and ruined my day. So congratulations, Jeremy. In order to claim your prize, you can send me a DM on the Discord, which I will put at the link in the description. Or if you don't have a Discord, you can just DM me on Instagram at GearGodsNet. Sam Brockman dropped me a $2 super thanks. Thank you! This week, during my onslaught of ghost reactions, which you can watch here, I've been pointing out a little bit of where Tobias will have some awkward, forced syllable stress in the songs. And this ignited a whole debate in the comments section about whether or not it was cool, whether or not anybody cared, and whether or not it was intentional, which also led to people sort of, it seems like, gaslighting themselves into believing that it was good just because he was doing it on purpose, which to me shouldn't really matter. It's either good or it isn't. He either meant to do it or he didn't, but one thing doesn't cause the other. I'm not going to read them all because there are a lot of them. I'll put them all on screen right here, and you can pause if you want to read them all. Personally, it bothers me a lot, but it's not about whether or not it's objectively good or wrong or whatever. It's just that I'm pointing it out so that you notice it. Many commenters said that they had never even noticed this before I pointed it out. Do you know what it's called when you become aware of something that you weren't before? It's called learning. You learned something. You're welcome. It's a very important facet of songwriting, and whether or not you agree with me about how it should be done, how you should approach it, you don't want to be caught dead without literally knowing that it exists. What you choose to do with that information is, like every other aspect of music, up to you. But that's why today's episode is sponsored by my course, How to Actually Write Lyrics. If you want to learn how to avoid this kind of cringe-inducing awkwardness in your songs while writing something that really matters to you and to the listener, I got you covered. In this 10-hour course, I show you bulletproof methods for generating lyrics from scratch, even if you've never done it before. I'll teach you different types of rhyme schemes, how to make your lyrics sound better with syncopation and phrasing, what makes something catchy, and how to create massive hooks for your songs. Check the link in the description for an exclusive discount code for the course, and don't forget to leave me a question or a comment in the description because I'm going to be picking one of them to win this course next week, which brings us to today's Q for Your A, in which I ask you a question and you answer in the comments section. And today's question is, what is the specific part of making music that is the hardest for you? Real quick, just gonna read through some of these Q for Your A's. Colleen Levitt, 1777. My favorite was Can I Redeem This Dad's Song Disaster? Mr. Rock and Roll came for the ghost song reaction vids, stayed subscribed for the deep musical insights and wholesome metalhead energy. Porridge Orange, how blank writes a song. Hopefully got more of those coming this year. Bad Rabbit, how XXX writes songs, vids are my favorite of yours. I also love watching the chaos unfold in Roll for Song. Cobra Sis, my favorite content of yours is probably reactions to songs. Ivan Kostandinov 9687, I like tutorials on how band writes a song. Jeremy, I find the feedback streams, those are on Fridays, indescribably valuable. I can't imagine anything more helpful for a songwriter who's willing to learn and grow. I do them every Friday. Come hang out. Reverend Prophet, some of my favorite content ever on your channel, I even go back and watch some of the videos sometimes, was the Gong Contest. Josh's Punk Rock Garden 9914, I really love the writing a song from random drum grooves videos. Mississippi Martian, Roll for Song is our absolute favorite. LP123, my favorite style of video of yours is the How Band Writes a Song. In case you're new here or you just haven't heard, Roll for Song is the new song contest. We do it once a month. The next one is going to be on May 18th, that's a Sunday. And what happens is I roll a bunch of dice to pick different aspects of the song, and then I give you the drums, and then we all write a song to the same drums, and then I give something away to the best one. This month, the winner gets an amazing prize package from Native Instruments and Isotope Complete 15 Standard and the brand new Isotope Equinox Reverb. So don't miss it. Once again, that's Sunday, May 18th. Nakai B 6024. Sometimes you frown upon cliche or corny lyrics. How do you know if you enter in that realm of lyric writing? Rain, pain.
etc.
Coincidentally, in my How to Actually Write Lyrics course, I have a list of the ones that I've personally collected of these sorts of cliches and corny rhymes and just things that have been done to death. But the fact of the matter is, you have to just sort of do your homework. You have to just really exist in the world of lyrics and music. You have to be listening to all kinds of music, listening to what other people say, paying very close attention, remembering this stuff, and noticing when things are just done all the time. But also, when you think of a cliche, it's basically like a prefabricated phrasing of a few words. A bird in the hand is worth two in the bush, okay? The fact is that you didn't write that. Doesn't mean that you can't use it. You can absolutely use cliches. We all do it to some extent. I usually try to put some kind of clever little twist on it instead of just using it whole hog as it has been presented to me. But to me, the real problem with using a cliche is that you're using a prefabricated idea instead of generating a new one, a new combination of words, maybe one that has never been uttered before in the history of language. Obviously, we can't all be perpetually generating incredible poetry, but if you're not trying to and seeking that out, then you're never going to get anywhere. You're never going to spit any fire at all. So it's really just hunting for the less obvious. Think about it like this. Somebody wrote all of those cliches. Somebody was the first person to say, every cloud has a silver lining. And for hundreds of fucking years, people have repeated that phrase because it's pithy as fuck. Your job is to create those phrases that will become cliches. If you write it into a song where you're credited, you will always receive credit for that cliche. Here's an example. Have you ever heard the phrase, "You've got moxie"? Moxie is the name of a soda. That's where that word came from. Moxie was not a word before they made that soda. Whoever came up with the word moxie as the name for the soda invented that word. People later took it and turned it into something else, but there you have it. Immortality.
Remember when the internet was fun? Miss those times, LOL.
No, I don't remember. I've never been there. I'm not an elder millennial.
See, me too. Music isn't something you teach. If you learn music from a teacher, you will sound boxed in and plain. Music is something you feel and then express. It's like acting. The academic musicians are like bad acting. We can see it and sense it. Natural musicians who are in love with the way music makes them feel are like the good actors. It's so natural. Think Pedro Pascal and Leonardo DiCaprio. Only one of those you can see the acting.
In this case, you should feel stupid that I used a stupid voice for you, because this is stupid. This is a stupid thing to say. I can say from really hard-won experience that it is true that you can't just learn to make music from learning the technical aspects of it. For example, when I was younger, I thought that I would be able to just make music by learning scales and chords and arpeggios and all of this sort of technical things. But when you learn that kind of stuff, what you're learning are the conventions of how things are done, the analysis that comes afterward, right? Music theory isn't music. But you also can't become a great author if you don't learn how to fucking read and write. You might be an amazing storyteller, but if you never learn how to write in the language that you're trying to publish in, no one will ever know and it won't matter. This actually kind of ties into the Giacomo Tura thing, right? People trying to learn from tabs can learn the songs that they're trying to learn. That's the give a man a fish approach. But if you learn a song by ear and you transcribe it and you sort of get inside of it yourself and figure out things that make sense, you're going to learn so much more about music. And learning things that other people have done that are very musical makes way more sense than just learning the technical stuff, the mechanics of it before you've done that work. If you approach the sort of academic music theory part of it as being prescriptive instead of descriptive, then you will wind up with this sort of clinical, boring music and what this guy is describing. But if you just think of it as, like I said in this one video, which you can watch right here, names for sounds then all it's doing is opening up a vocabulary for you. This is also some like super boomer bullshit. I would say that there are way more total garbage, unlistenable musicians who are self-taught than ones who are academic, even if their playing is boring or whatever. But there is just so much to be learned from other musicians by studying them, studying with them, learning new ideas and exciting, cool things, that to look at it like this is just shutting yourself off to so much knowledge. It's stupid. How could you possibly be any stupider than looking at it like this? There is no piece of musical knowledge that you can acquire that will make you a worse musician, but willful ignorance for sure will. Don't forget to leave your questions and comments below so that I can answer them, and also because I might pick you next week to be the winner of my course, How to Actually Write Lyrics, which you can find at the link in the description below. Stay squishy, and I'll see you next week.